Why does infidelity happen?
In other words, why do people cheat on their spouses?
Good question. Not only is this a controversial and an upsetting topic, it's a largely misunderstood topic by most people. Infidelity is all about human needs. What are we talking about? Well, people commonly think that cheating happens for reasons such as men are natural philanderers, or women are sluts, or a person is looking to have an affair, or a person is no longer physically attracted to their mate, or they're sex deprived, or they're looking for excitement, or they just got drunk and they lost their better judgment, or even for a vendetta. Now, while these can all be true on some base level, the underlying reason that almost all extramarital sex happens is because a deep emotional need or needs is consistently not being filled within the relationship.
I have to interject here that there is the issue of some people having no moral code, but that's another subject.
So here's how infidelity happens. Not in all cases, but in most cases. Particularly in cases where it's just totally blindsides you and you don't see it coming. Let me start by repeating something. The underlying reason that almost all extramarital sex happens is because an emotional need or needs is consistently not being filled in the relationship or in one's own life. For example, if one has a strong need for feeling needed, or for feeling significant, or a need for affection, or a need to feel wanted that has consistently not been met for a significant period of time, a deficit is created. Another way of putting this is that a spouse has created a massive negative balance in their emotional bank account, either by lack of making consistent deposits or by making consistent withdrawals, or both.
Let me give you an example. The number one way that I feel love and connection with Tad is by being able to tell him anything without him getting upset. Let's say that every time I try to express how I feel to him, he does get upset and either yells or stonewalls me. And this goes on for years, and because my primary way of feeling love and connection is through communicating my feelings, I've developed a huge deficit.
So then somewhere along the line, someone, a friend or an acquaintance or a coworker, comes along and they start filling that missing need at a significant level.
That's right. Maybe someone who just loves listening to me share my feelings, and they seem really understanding and non-judgmental. They get me.
And then a strong emotional attachment develops. A positive association with that person is formed, and a magnetism or an attraction grows. In other words, a significant emotional need that's not being filled in the relationship is now being filled outside the relationship. So when feeling good isn't something that happens within your marriage, but it's happening outside your marriage, the source of that good feeling can be magnetizing and even addictive.
And more often than not, affairs are more about meeting unfulfilled needs for significance, unconditional love, and acceptance than they are about sex. It's about feeling something that you are craving for or lacking in your day-to-day life. Infidelity is often just a symptom of a different kind of unfaithfulness going on in the relationship.
Okay, don't freak out about this. I know this is hard to take, but we are all guilty of breaking our vows on some level. I'm just calling it like it is, because if we were filling our mates' needs, they would be devoted to us like the Pope is devoted to the Catholic Church. Now, faithfulness isn't just about sexual fidelity. In fact, it's mostly not about sexual fidelity. It's about faithfully meeting all the promises that we made at the altar. I mean, a couple could go their whole lives being sexually faithful to their mates while being entirely unfaithful in meeting their other needs, maybe their most important needs. Now, oftentimes, infidelity and the fallout that often accompanies it is just a smokescreen for the real issues in the relationship. It's not the sex act that's so upsetting. It's the reason why behind the act that sends people into a tailspin.
That's so right. And by the way, we don't condone infidelity any more than we would condone killing someone. I just want you to know that the reasons for infidelity are far more complex than most people think, and often not what people think. And when couples separate or divorce because of infidelity, they often misunderstand the why behind it. And in so doing, they might walk away from the very person they were meant to be with.
Now, in all fairness, there's another notable reason infidelity happens. It's simply the need to feel alive again. I mean, some people, after 2 or 3 decades or more of raising kids and being committed to your job and your family, people often tire of the predictability and monotony of their life. I mean, their life may have been good, but it was the same good for too long. And after a while, you can even tire of the best restaurant in town.
Actually, you can tire of the restaurant if they never change the menu up or offer interesting and unexpected specials. That's because a really great restaurant does 2 things. First, they provide you with a predictable, high level of quality service and food. Second, and most importantly, they provide you with unpredictable special offerings. They are careful to keep your favorites on the menu while spicing things up with nightly specials, seasonal menu changeovers, and even occasional remodels. They further enhance your experience with varying entertainment and personalized service. This is the formula for keeping customers coming back for more.
Now, we hope you're not offended by this restaurant metaphor because you know you're not a restaurant. But the fact of the matter is, when you got married, you both came to the table with expectations, right? But the good news is, when you are faithful to your mate in terms of consistently fulfilling your promises to them, the question of sexual infidelity is generally off the table. Now, we say generally off the table because you can do everything right and your mate can still have their own issues. I mean, they may be going through some self-esteem or identity crisis. Maybe they're at the stage of their life where their value as a human being or their attractiveness is in question and they're looking for evidence that they've still got it. Now, neither are valid reasons to stray, and for that matter, we don't think there are any valid reasons to stray. A person needs to have integrity, and they need to grow up and deal with their issues, right? But we want to just give you some insight into what's going on behind the scenes. And it's not always the end of a relationship when this happens. Sometimes it's responsible for the revival and the renewal of a relationship. So, to connect this idea with our previous video on marital sadism, are you seeing the connection between sadism and infidelity? Because when we intentionally or by default are not keeping our marital promises and we're not supporting our mate in meeting their needs, we are setting ourselves up for a fall. I hope you can see that.
Which leads us to the rub in all this, and actually the coolest part, and the reason why most people get stuck in marital limbo. Here it is. Are you ready for this? Meeting your mate's needs at a high level requires consistent personal growth. Ouch. But that's what marriage is all about: growing, expanding, stretching, and deepening. Without engaging in this process, we would remain emotional and spiritual 12-year-olds and never fully experience the richness of growing up into our fullness. Look at it this way. When you have a history of pain and frustration in your relationship, it's often challenging to bridge the gap between what you know you should do and what you will do. This is why your marriage problems don't go away. Does that make sense? Problems occur when faced with the opportunity to make a difference by growing ourselves in some way, but we resist the opportunity. And when we resist for many reasons, including a fear of vulnerability, an unwillingness to let go of our ego, refusal to take responsibility for our part in the situation, maybe it's a fear of change, or fear of loss of love, fear of discomfort, fear of facing the truth, and even fear of exposure. Funny thing is that all these emotional responses are signals for us to face our rough edges, to grow up and start uncovering the real you, which is pure love.
Wow. Today we want you to think about where you might be withholding from your mate. In other words, where are you withholding love? Where are you withholding praise and acceptance? Maybe you're withholding attention or even sex. Are you supporting their need for personal development, their need for recreation or variety? And if you're a guy, are you making sure that your lady knows how attracted you are to her and that you've only got eyes for her?
If you're a lady, are you letting your man know how you appreciate what he does for the family? And are you allowing him his sense of freedom so that he doesn't feel like he's on a leash?
That's also good. But I want to close with this idea. Kimberly and I We have a strong moral code, and we believe that all couples are way better off when they have a moral code to align their behavior with. Now that said, there are plenty of Christians who, in strict adherence to their faith, they have unhappy, unfulfilling, and disappointing marriages, despite their faithfulness to each other. Now, there is very little virtue in doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, folks. But this is why Kimberly and I like the restaurant metaphor so much. If the food is great, if it's great at home, the temptation or even the fantasizing about eating somewhere else, it's greatly diminished, if not completely eliminated.
Oh, I love that. If you think about all the reasons your mate may have married you, it stands to reason that if you provided that to them at a high level, it would be a game changer.
So, if you were a restaurant, how do you think your mate would rate you on the 5-star scale? How would they rate you on customer service? How would they rate the ambiance and the environment that you provide for them?
How would they rate the quality of your food? Is it only the best organic ingredients, cooked gourmet, or is it quick and easy, cheap and fast? How are your weekly specials? Do you blow them away with your heavenly desserts?
Are you actually innovating your menu and your service, or are you stuck at some 7th grade level? How do you handle things when your customer isn't satisfied? Do they get a free meal? I think you get the point. If we just treated our mate like we would treat our best customer or our best client, it would be a game changer. Don't you think? What it makes me think is that I need to go to the gym and work on myself a little bit.
Thanks for being here. See you next time.
We appreciate it. And if you like this video, please subscribe to our channel, share it with somebody that you think could really benefit from it, and give us a thumbs up. We love you. See you next time.